Meanwhile, back in Himalaysco, which was that place from the start of the game, in case you're wondering. So Sin, I hear you did not succeed in killing Ivan. He's hired Sakai's greatest mercenary to help him do something. He protected Ivan and probably put him in hiding. It won't be easy to find him now. Have you tried? I mean, Akira pretty much just put Ivan inside the inn nearby where you attacked Ivan. I can't imagine it'd be that hard to figure out where he is. He's in hiding, you say? Well, I doubt we'll have to go looking for him. Why? This Akira we're dealing with is no fool. He's more skilled than you can possibly imagine. Hell, he's the reason I became a mercenary. If Akira doesn't want us finding Ivan, then it won't be easy to get to him. Well, Akira may be no fool, but I can assure you, Ivan is. I know him well. He won't be able to stay put. It would go against his very nature. At heart, he is idealistic and naive. He will show himself before long. And maybe sooner than we think. He was carrying a large sum of money with him, most of which I was able to take when I struck him. I don't think he noticed at the time, but when it comes time to pay Akira for whatever he did, I doubt he'll be able to. This could work out in our favor. Keep watch over the western tunnel. That's the only way out of Sakai. He'll have to go through it eventually. Or he could just go through the teleporter in the church and wind up straight in Revenus. But if you say so. Anyway, hello everyone. Welcome back to this game. My name is Draygone the Willem Fuzzbottom Jr., and these are some of my Patreons. Snow Kieran, Hitiru, and a special thanks to my special sponsor, Lit Dragon. Hopefully I pronounced that second name correctly. It's kind of Japanese-ish, with that weird R that also sounds like an L while still being an R. Anyway, what you just witnessed is something kind of interesting. You remember how at the end of the last episode I discovered that the dungeon we just went through, there is a part of it that is blocked off and not used? Well, what I just saw, or what you just saw, and what I just discovered, is a cutscene that is not used. Yeah, I was looking through the Storytellers, trying to find something to use to explain something later on in this episode, and while searching for that something, I discovered that cutscene. And no, it is definitely not used anywhere in the game. I mean, I played this game once before, and I don't remember it, and if this cutscene was to be used in this game, it would have played by now. Don't know why it was left out, but it's neat. Anyway, the reason why I was looking through the Storytellers and looking through the cutscenes is because of, well, I'm going to be explaining something related to cutscenes in RPG Maker 3, because somebody had asked about that. I kind of want you to keep this cutscene in mind, because there's more than one kind of cutscene in RPG Maker 3, and what you just witnessed is one of them. With that said, let us go ahead and return to when we last left off. When we last left off, we finished up a couple of optional quests, but they don't have anything to do with what we're doing today, so I'm not going to go into detail. Instead, what we're going to be doing today is returning to the main plot. It's been a bit before we've done that, but yep, time to return to the plot. So let's recap. Akira here is hunting down some demons for some guy named Ivan. We're supposed to be collecting the ashes of these demons and giving them to Ivan so that Ivan can eat these ashes and gain the powers of the demons so he can kill some guy named Nikolai. We were supposed to collect 4 piles of ashes, but we kind of forgot to grab the ashes of Leviathan, but I'm sure Ivan won't notice. Anyway, we're basically going to be returning to the main plot for a while. There's one little optional thing to do coming up, But that'll be it for a while. The next several episodes will be dedicated to progressing the plot, which is cool. You know, they were just talking about the Western Tunnel in that cutscene. The thing of it is, I've actually gone through here multiple times since we left Ivan at the inn. So, if Sen is here, we never really noticed her. Is she, like, hiding on the ceiling or something? I mean, I don't see her. It would be just like a ninja to hide on the ceiling, though. Maybe she's in here? No. Well, it makes sense that she's not hiding on the ceiling. You can't really put people on the ceiling in RPG Maker 3. Well, since he's not there, we'll just go ahead and bring these ashes over to Ivan. He's probably getting a little tired of waiting at this point, considering all the optional stuff that we've been wasting time with. Like the arena, helping Tweed out, and especially breaking the game using that oh-so-fun Frode glitch. So yeah, let's go ahead and get these back to Ivan. Slow down. That was kind of weird. The RPG Maker 3 has a little trouble with stability sometimes if there's too much on screen. Weird thing is, you wouldn't think that there was too much on screen just then. Was it because this guy was walking? I don't know. By the way, as a reminder, that is not Ivan, that's just Ivan's recolor. Ivan is still inside the inn, so let's go ahead and bring these ashes in. What the hell? Where's Ivan? You talking about that man who was staying here? He left a while ago. Dang it, I told him to stay put. Did he mention where he might be going? I'm afraid he didn't say anything, he just left. Nothing I could do to stop him. He's dead if he goes out in public. I'd better figure out where he went fast if I actually want to claim this reward. I mean, after I claim this reward, he can go ahead and die. But before I get the reward, no. He cannot die until then. He's probably leaving Sakai, which means he could be in Gaia by now. I'd better hurry. And considering we're supposed to be hurrying, I'm surprised it did not kick us out of the inn. Alright, so the inn is where Ivan was hiding, and Ivan was attacked by Sen in this building here. Again, shouldn't have been that difficult to find him. But then again, I guess they never found him. Well, they're probably going to find him now that he's out wandering about. Maybe Akira's butler knows where he is. I say, what a hard turn of events this has been. I do hope everything turns out alright. That's probably a no. Also, apparently, Akira psychically told his butler that Ivan went missing. Well, I guess we're gonna go find Ivan. I happen to know where he is. He's in the Western Tunnel. Yeah, you know, that tunnel that we just passed through? Somehow, we completely missed him. Anyway, while we're heading off to the Western Tunnel again, I want to bring up the cutscene that just happened inside the inn. Most of the cutscenes in this game have pretty much been like that, with Akira standing in the middle of the screen and character portraits popping up. When it comes to cutscenes that take place on the map you're on, like, say, out here, or, you know, inside the inn, you don't really have very many options for, how do I word this? As a creator. As a game creator, RPG Maker 3 does not give you very many options for 3D cutscenes. You basically just have your character standing there, character portraits. You can also, like, make the screen flash, I guess. And also make characters suddenly disappear, you know, if you wanted to imply that they just died. But that's basically it. You cannot tell a character to move around, you cannot move the camera around. The player can move the camera around during cutscenes, which makes for some interesting circumstances if, say, you wanted to hide something behind the player, which there is such a situation late in this game, and hopefully I'll remember to point it out. But yeah, you don't have very many options with these 3D cutscenes. In fact, they're hardly cutscenes at all. Instead, RPG Maker 3 expects you to use something called a Storyteller. And that cutscene that I showed off at the beginning of the game is a Storyteller. They are those cutscenes where they take place on a 2D background using character portraits, and you have more options with them. In fact, inside the Western Tunnel, we're going to be having one of the, well, quite possibly the fanciest cutscene in this game, along with a regular 3D cutscene, which will make for an interesting comparison with cutscenes. So, as we go through this cutscene, kind of keep in mind the different types of cutscenes. Ugh. You really made this too easy for me, you know that? Nicolay told me to keep watch over the Western Tunnel, but I didn't think you'd actually be dumb enough to travel through it. Like I said, could have used the teleport in the church. Should have taken my advice and stayed put. Well, this is nice. I was going to look for you after I finished killing him, but you've saved me the trouble. And battle. No battle swirl, just battle. I know I've complained about that several times in this Let's Play, but inconsistency just kind of bothers me. Alright though, I promise I won't complain about it anymore. I think you get the idea. Yay, slow. But her turn came up? What? What was that? What just happened? Did she just try using an attack that she didn't actually have? That was interesting. Glad I caught that on camera. I'm also glad that I'm redoing this episode because the first attempt kinda sucked. Because I didn't see that on the first attempt. Well, if you're going to try using attacks you don't have, I'm gonna use my new attack. Check this out. And that takes care of that. Used up a little bit of HP. It's actually going to be an attack more useful for enemy groups since it targets multiple targets. But anyway, I used the attack because I can. It's new, and hey, I have a tunnel key now. Cool. Dang, you're good. But it doesn't matter. He's still gonna die anyway. See ya! Oh, and you can also have sound effects in these kind of cutscenes. So, text, character portraits, sound effects, flashing screen, and characters disappearing. Speaking of disappearing, nobody's here. Like Sen and Ivan, they're only here as character portraits. Just wanted to point that out. Akira, come here. What the hell were you thinking? I got the 4 remains. Were you so impatient that you couldn't wait till I returned to get your revenge or whatever the bleep you're trying to do? Look, I lost the money I had somehow. It must have been Sen when she attacked before. I couldn't have paid you. But listen. Well, that doesn't mean you should go out and get yourself killed. You think I'd rather end up with no money? We could have worked out a payment plan or something. Look, it doesn't matter now. I need your help. I'm afraid you dug your own grave here. This isn't my responsibility. I'll get you some medical attention, but I doubt it'll do any good. It looks like you put up a bit of a fight, but Sen really did a number on you. Well, I suppose that it would make sense that we wouldn't see Ivan on the ground, because you can't actually have a character lying on the ground. So that is why he's not actually here. That wound of yours is fatal. I know. Look, that's not important. You're the only one who can stop him now. Who? Nikolai? That wasn't part of our deal. But you have to. You got the power I wanted from those demon captains. Anyway, it's not Nikolai you should be worried about. Now that you killed those captains, their lord won't rest until he has your head. What lord? What are you talking about? When I first met Nikolai, I was desperate for power, and it seemed as though he would be able to provide it for me. At the time, my father had just named my older sister as the heir to the family estate. Our father always favored her. Nikolai had promised me that if I was able to obtain a certain book for him, the Valdes from the Spectre's Perch Tower in Gaia, then he would be able to give me the power I desired. So, along with my companions, Vronsky and Levin, I went out in search of this book. We all hoped for a share in this mysterious power. However, the power was not what we had expected it to be. I guess I thought that gaining this ancient magic would allow me to regain my shattered pride. But the power, instead of being a force I could control, was a demon who sustains itself by devouring human souls. The only way to maintain it would be through sacrificing lives. But Nikolai didn't care. Instead, he made a pact with this demon, Mephistopheles. Mephistopheles would create and dispatch demons to assist Nikolai in conquering the rest of Slovenia and eventually Gaia and Sakai. The casualties in this war would serve as nourishment for Mephistopheles and his underlings. Instead of restoring my pride, I had only brought war to my nation. After failing to stop Nikolai myself, I realized that I would need help to fix my error, which is why I sought you out. I needed you to help me obtain the power to correct my mistake. But now, I'm afraid I can't finish the job. That is why you must help. So what Monika said was true after all. So you see, you're the only one. Go to Slovenia, through the northern tunnel. Moron, he wasted the last of his energy telling me that story. Does it really work that way? Often when some character is dying in a TV show or whatever, the person who is not dying is all, shh, save your breath. But does that actually make you live longer? I don't know. What an unfortunate end that boy met with. I've taken care of the funeral arrangements like you asked, sir. Rather generous of you, I say, for footing the bill. Well, I couldn't just leave him there, lying there. Anyways, the state covers most of those costs. Overall, though, quite a bit of bad luck, wasn't it, sir? All that work, and he died before paying you. Well, what do you plan to do now? I'm going to Slovenia. Whatever for? I'm going to finish the job, Bates. Certainly you can't be serious, sir. You do realize that going up against this Nikolai chap could mean death, don't you? And there really is no incentive since no one is alive to pay you. Maybe, but it's something I feel compelled to do all the same. But it wasn't even part of the original agreement. Sir, I do wish you'd reconsider. Why would you want to do this? I'm not entirely sure, but I've made up my mind. Take care of things here while I'm gone, Bates. I'm heading for the northern tunnel in Gaia right away. Well, if you insist. Good luck, sir. Well, That's an interesting turn of events. Wow, look at the shadowing on your legs. They are all polygonal and stuff. So, that happened. Ivan died. Who didn't see that one coming? But more interestingly, a.k.a. has decided to go out and attack this Nikolai dude and quite possibly have to fight this demon lord that Monica was talking about before. So, the demon lord is Mephistopheles. Don't really have anything to say about that. Instead, I'm just going to go ahead and look over there on the right as 3 characters suddenly appear one by one. And the screen had to blink out in order to load each character. That over there is the little optional quest that I spoke of just a minute ago. Not a minute ago. At the start of this episode somewhere. Anyway, that was a fancy cutscene, wasn't it? So, yeah. 2 types of cutscenes in this game. One barely qualifies as a cutscene, and the other is the Storyteller. That is what RPG Maker 3 expects you to use when it comes to cutscenes. And I'm actually going to kind of delve into a little bit of detail here. Go ahead and head into the editor before we take on that little optional thing over there. Alright, so here I am in the layout editor for the Western Tunnel. Right here is the event that triggers that sequence of events with Sen killing Ivan. It triggers pretty much as soon as you enter the Western Tunnel, after discovering that Ivan has disappeared. And it'll trigger regardless of which side of the Western Tunnel you come into, since this is right on the same map. So, don't worry too much about the specifics, like don't worry about what any of this is for. I just want to kind of go over the event code. Because somebody noticed there in the upper right that you have a limit of 50 lines of code for events in RPG Maker 3. And the person was like, well, how do you create any decent length cutscene with only 50 lines of code? Well, the answer is storytellers. So, let's see here. Going into the tunnel, the background music went away because cutscene. We've had some dialogue. We had a battle against Sen, got the tunnel key. There's the treasure we obtained right there, tunnel key. Has some more dialogue. There's the sound effect of Sen running off after she was defeated. Some more dialogue. Here's the storyteller. So this triggered the storyteller, that fancy pants cutscene that was in black and white. We'll be showing off that momentarily. After the storyteller ended, then we had more dialogue with Ivan, waited for a couple seconds before a.k.a. called him a moron. And don't worry about these 2 options, it's complicated. All we need to know is that we were teleported to a.k.a.'s house after this cutscene. Now let's show off the storyteller. This is where things get interesting. Alright, so here's the storyteller for that fancy pants cutscene where Ivan told his origin story. It is set to be monochrome, which is why it was black and white. You can also have sepia, or you could just have it in color. I won't bother with a story preview. We just watched the storyteller a little bit ago. Instead, we're going to go ahead and go to the creation screen. And here is the editor for storytellers. It's kind of interesting. Let's see here. First off, it's worth noting that you can create storytellers of really long length. If there is a limit, I don't know what it is. It's probably like 999. Yep, 999. You are very much unlikely to go that far. That said, there is another limitation in place, and it's down there in the lower right, where it says key count and max count. And let's see, the storyteller has 32 keys, and there is a limit of 500. In case you're wondering, and I'm sure you are, keys are basically each of these items in the timeline. I guarantee you that odds are you will not have to worry about the limit of 500 keys. I mean, this cutscene didn't come anywhere close, didn't even come close to 100 keys. So, it's not really a worry. And in case it's not obvious, the way the timeline works is it scrolls downward. So you start off with everything on the first line triggers, and then once the first line finishes, it moves on to everything on the second line, and then everything on the third line, so on and so forth. Now, if you look at the top of the screen, you will see that the storytellers have a variety of options here. Start quickly with the one all the way to the left. So, all the way in the left is your background options. For example, we started with the background of Nicole's throne room. You can have lots of different background options. You can have backgrounds of out in the field. You can have monsters. I'll get to that momentarily. Have indoors. We got events, which are basically just objects, I guess. You can have pop art, where if you want, well, something kind of out there for the background. So there's that option. That's how the cutscene started, and then the cutscene moved on to the background of Ivan's home when he talked about his family. Eventually, down here, remember when Mephistopheles came up on screen? He is also a background. You have monster backgrounds. For example, we got like salamanders, which is a type of dragon. We have more dragons. Let's see, we also have smaller enemies like orcs. And you have like a chimera. Yeah, that's a thing. That's also a monster in RPG Maker 3. You can fight things that look like that. But yeah, that's the background for you. And then these next three options, which are labeled A, B, and C, are character portraits. When you're on a 3D map, like the cutscene inside the inn, you can only have one character portrait on screen at a time. But in Storytellers, you can have up to 3 character portraits on screen at the time, which is basically how Ivan and his friends wound up being on screen at the same time during one point. One interesting detail is you can have character portraits that move around, as we saw when Ivan switched over to his sister Pelagia. The way that worked is these two options right here. We started with Ivan on screen, and the next option had Ivan moved off screen. Well, basically his position was set off to the side, and RPG Maker 3 decided to do that by actually moving the character portrait. So here he is, and this is where he was put. Meanwhile, the character portrait of Pelagia started off on the left, as you can see. And you also have a variety of different options with character portraits. You have different art styles for one thing. Let's see here. For example, here's Ivan Anime. Or, if we wanted to, here's Ivan Pop Art. Display position. Right, that's the thing that I just explained. You can have different sizes and orientation. You can have him look him to the side. You could have him being a silhouette. You can have him with a question mark. Different options. It's kind of interesting. So those are the character portraits. Now, one option that wasn't used, there's actually a couple of options that weren't used in that cutscene of Ivan's backstory. So the first option is effect. Let's take a quick look at that. This is basically fading. You can have flash, playstyle. Oh, you can change the whether it's monochrome or sepia or that during the cutscene. So, like how this cutscene was set by default to monochrome, you can have that changed during the cutscene. Alright, the next option is objects. You can actually have an object floating on screen. You have... you have different types of objects, yeah. You got plenty of objects, actually. You got swords, you got tonfas? type of weapon, I guess. Yeah, that's a type of weapon. So if you want a treasure chest, to, for example, to show a cutscene showing the weapon you just got, I guess you could do that if you want. Different animations, you got basic rotations, you got up and down, you got zoom. If only this game worked with 3D glasses. Or you could just have it sitting there, whatever. You can different place speed, so if you wanted the zoom to be faster, it's not comedically fast, but, you know, it's there. Knives, hammers, most of these are weapons, but you also got miscellaneous stuff like coins, crowns, emblems. So yeah, you can actually show objects on screen. That is a thing you can do. Of course, we have the message option where all the messages are displayed. Now, one thing that I kind of want to show off, first let me go ahead and delete that, is you can actually point out who is talking in a story. So for example, we basically have this basic text box at the start of the screen, but if you wanted to, you could actually make it point to the character, as I will now demonstrate. And it has a text noise. So yeah, you got a little arrow pointing to the person who is talking, and you got a different text sound. Now, if only there was a way to exit a Storyteller preview. I don't think you can, though. You have to watch the whole thing. Let's see, you can set the text speed. Just set it to super fast. Save everybody the hassle of having to jam that X button. Let's see, orientation side, you can make the text really big if you want. Change the text color. Position. Basic stuff, really. Don't have much in the way of window types. You got the basic round option and a fluffy option. By the way, remember how there's different art styles for character portraits? That actually affects the sound of the text and cutscenes. So let's take a look at what he sounds like when he's all pop art. Yep, that's different. Obviously, you can have sound effects during these storytellers, and you can change the background music during the storytellers. I don't feel I need to go over those details. They're self-explanatory. You got sound effects, you got music. Or you could have no music. So yeah, that is the storyteller function. I feel like I probably went into more detail than I really needed to, but I just wanted to demonstrate that when it comes to cutscenes in RPG Maker 3, as long as you're willing to use the storyteller option, you got some nice options there. It's just a shame that you can't have cinematic 3D cutscenes. That's where RPG Maker 2 comes into play. But we'll get to that some other time. Alright, the next thing that needs to be discussed is the situation with Sen, and how she wound up using an attack that does not exist, and wound up causing 0 damage with it. It took me a while, but I managed to figure out exactly what is going on. So, right now I am in Ivan's spell list. He starts the game with Lightning. He also can learn Earth Shield, which he learns during a cutscene. And because he learns it during a cutscene, he's got it set to level 99. Tsunami, that is. Tsunami has set that Ivan learns Earth Shield at level 99. Which is never going to happen because you don't reach level 99 in this game. So, I'm going to go ahead and set it to level 11 just to make things easy for myself. And I'm going to go ahead and head on over to the layout editor for Himalaysco Castle. This is where we started the game. Now you'll notice this treasure chest here. This treasure chest was not originally here. I put it here. This is going to be the thing that I am testing with. So Ivan starts at level 8. and I set that Earth Shield spell to be learned at level 11. So starting off, I have set it so that Ivan's level increases by 3, which brings him from level 8 to level 11. And also, I am having him fight a brigand. So let's go into that battle real quick. Alright, so here we are in Himalaysco Castle. Fun fact, when you're on test play, invisible events are marked with question marks. Anyway, here's that treasure chest. Ivan's at level 8. Soon as we look at this treasure chest, Ivan's level is going to be increased to level 11. And as soon as that happens, of course, we're getting into a battle that I have set against one of these guys. And yes, you can set the battle to be placed anywhere you want. You can't do that with random encounters, but for boss encounters and the like, put it wherever you want. Alright, so let's go ahead and skip on over to Ivan's turn and go to his skill list. Since he has reached level 11, he can use Earth Shield. And if I try scrolling any further, I can't. It's either Lightning or Earth Shield. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the pause button. This will open up a debug menu, which... that's just game over. How sad. Alright, so here we are back in the layout editor. Gonna go to this treasure chest and to the event code. You see this option that I was just talking about where I increased level by 3 for Ivan? Well, we're gonna go ahead and get rid of that, and I'm gonna go ahead and place a different option in there. Which I did off camera because spoilers. So now we have, instead of increased level, we have modify level, which basically just lets me set Ivan's level directly to 11, which is handy if, for example, you don't know what level Ivan is at the time, and it's like, screw it, just go to this level. Now, we still have that battle with the brigand. Let's go back into that battle and see how this plays out. Alright, back to Ivan's turn against the brigand, and all of a sudden, we can now scroll down into the menu where options do not exist, and if I happen to select one of the non-existent options, look familiar? So, here is a situation with Sen, and also Monica, because I noticed that I could do the same thing with Monica's skill list, but you can't do that with Akira's skill list. Akira's skill list only allows you to select what is there, but in the last episode, when Monica was on my team, I was able to continue scrolling. And now I know why. It is because of the modify level option. When you use that and set it to a level that you learn something new, it glitches out the skill list. Now, the reason this is going on with Sen is because Sen's level is also being increased. I already fought her once before earlier in the game, and for the battle in this episode, her level was set to a higher level so that she would learn a new spell. Of course, in the process of modifying her level, it gave her all of these empty slots, which is why she used a spell that doesn't exist. So, hooray! I figured out what is going on with a glitch. Let us victory over it. Alright, that pretty much takes care of basically all of the technical aspects of things going on in this episode. Now we kind of need to deal with these guys who are animating, which reminds me, there is one other thing you can do in cutscenes of 3D-ness, and that is have characters do a little animation. You can't have them walk anywhere, but at least you can make them animate. As well as also just idly animate like these three are doing. You know, given that something really important and serious happened in this episode. I feel like the seriousness of the situation has been played down by all the technical talk. So, before we move on with these three, let us get back into the mindset of this game's world. We're playing a Ronin story. A.k.a. was hired to kill some demons by Ivan. Ivan was just killed, and we found out that in an attempt to gain his father's favor, he wanted more power, and long story short, wound up summoning a demon lord, who is now going to wage war on the entire world. This is really serious stuff, and now Ivan is dead, and A.k.a. has taken the mantle. He is now going to take on the demon lord out of the goodness of his heart. Alright, we are in the proper mindset to do this one last thing of this episode. Okay, so I was about to start up this little optional quest involving these guys, because it seemed like it would only take a few minutes and then we could end the episode. But then I got to finagling with things, and well, let's put it this way. I decided that it would be better to dedicate these three dudes in front of me to their own episode. So that is what's going to be going on next time. With that said, down at the bottom of the screen is all of my patrons, and next time we'll be taking on a little optional quest that isn't quite as little as I thought. I'll see you then.